Have you ever felt a great dream, a wonderful idea, suddenly fade away right after you excitedly told someone about it? Just stop for a moment and really think about this. Remember the last time you had a breakthrough idea. Maybe it was a business project you were planning, a health goal you were determined to achieve, or a new skill you wanted to learn. That feeling of excitement, it's like electricity running through your body. And with that excitement comes an almost unstoppable urge, the urge to share, to tell someone, to see the admiration in their eyes. We do this because we are social creatures. We look for connection and validation. We want confirmation that our ideas are great, that the path we are about to choose is the right one. But what if I told you that this very act of sharing, that this moment of seeking early praise, is actually the kiss of death for your ambition? In today's video, we won't just talk about why this happens. Together, we will explore a silent principle that the world's most successful people follow, whether they know it or not. It's a philosophy for protecting your most valuable assets. Not money, but your energy and focus. It will help you build unstoppable inner motivation and turn your quiet intentions into shocking achievements. Stay until the end, because the final lesson isn't just a piece of advice. It's a strategic guide that could completely reshape how you build your future. To begin, let me tell you a story about two of my friends. They were both talented, both had big ambitions, and they shared the same goal: to write a life-changing book. The first friend, I call him the broadcaster friend. He was an energetic and outgoing person. As soon as the first ideas for his book formed, he immediately posted a long article on social media. He announced the book's title, summarized the content, and shared the great mission he wanted to deliver. Almost instantly, a storm of engagement came in. Congratulations, likes, and admiring comments flooded his screen. "This is amazing! I can't wait to read it! You're such an inspiration!" The broadcaster friend felt like he was on top of the world. The feeling of being recognized, of being celebrated, was sweet and addictive. But then, something strange and terrible began to happen. After a few weeks of enjoying the praise, his motivation started to cool down. Every time he sat down in front of a blank page, he felt an emptiness that was scary. The initial fire was no longer burning. Why? Because his mind had been tricked. In psychology, there is a concept called social reality. When you announce your intentions and get recognition from others, your brain releases dopamine, the hormone that makes you feel good. It mistakes the praise for the intention with the reward for the action. He had already received the prize before finishing the race. He was living in the illusion of progress, while in reality, the book was still just blank pages. In the end, his project fizzled out, forgotten along with the hundreds of old, encouraging comments. Now, let's talk about my second friend, the one I call the builder friend. He was quieter and more introverted. He had the same dream, but he chose a completely different path. A silent path. He didn't tell anyone except for his wife. Every morning, while the world was still asleep, he woke up and wrote. Every evening he researched and edited. He faced his doubts alone. He fought procrastination in solitude. He built his world, brick by brick, in complete silence. 6 months later, he placed the finished manuscript on the desk of a well-known publisher. When the book was released and became a success, his friends, including the broadcaster friend, were completely shocked. They didn't know he was working. They only saw the result. The story of these two friends is not unusual. It is a universal law of human energy and psychology. And from it, we can learn 5 core lessons to master the power of silence. Lesson 1. Understand the motivation thief. Have you ever made a New Year's resolution? Of course, most of us have. Maybe you wanted to lose weight, learn a new language, or read 50 books in a year. And what is the first thing many people do after setting a goal? They announce it. We write a determined post on Facebook, tell our friends at dinner, or even change our social media bio. And the result is almost always predictable. Encouraging words pour in. Awesome! You can do it! Go for it! We feel fantastic. We feel like we're already halfway there just by talking about it. This feeling of being validated can be like an addiction. It gives you an instant high, a sense of satisfaction without any of the hard work. This is the exact psychological trap that the broadcaster friend fell into. And it's the same trap millions of us fall into every day. Early praise acts like a painkiller for your ambition. It calms the sense of urgency, and it gives you the warm feeling of accomplishment without requiring a single drop of sweat. Basically, you let your mind take a mental shortcut. It thinks, oh, people have already recognized my effort. I must be doing great. The urgency to act, to face the boredom and difficulty of the real work, is replaced by a feeling of satisfaction. The thief has snuck in, not to steal your goal, but to steal something more valuable, the reason you need to fight for it. The solution here is not to stop setting goals, but to completely change the energy source for them. We need to switch from seeking extrinsic validation to cultivating intrinsic satisfaction. Think of your goal as a campfire. Every compliment you get before you act is like a light breeze. It might make the flames flare up for a moment, but it will soon leave behind cold ashes. But every small action you take in silence, every victory no one sees, is like a solid log of wood you add to the fire. It doesn't create a spectacular spark, but it keeps the fire burning steadily, consistently, and hot from within. So how do you do this in a practical way? Create a personal scoreboard that only you can see. It could be a journal, a habit tracking app, or simply a calendar on your wall. Instead of measuring your success by the number of likes, measure it by the check marks on your calendar. Instead of seeking satisfaction from other people's praise, find it in the feeling of a tired body but a clear mind after a workout. Learn to love the process itself, to love the small victories that no one else knows about. When you no longer need an audience to clap for you, you become the director, the main actor, and the most loyal fan of your own life's play. That is when you are truly free and your motivation becomes unstoppable. Lesson 2. Build a greenhouse for your dream. Imagine you have just found a rare and unique seed. You know that if it grows, it could become a beautiful tree with the sweetest fruit ever known. What would you do with that seed? Would you take it to the town square, place it on the ground, and invite everyone to look at it, comment on it, and give you advice on how to plant it? Of course not. You would take it home, place it in a pot of rich soil, and keep it in a greenhouse with controlled temperature, humidity, and light. An idea, a dream, when it is first born, is just as fragile and precious as that seed. But sadly, we often treat our dreams the first way. We expose our new intentions to the world, not realizing that the world is full of harsh weather conditions that can kill them instantly. Think of a common situation. Someone has a great business idea. In their excitement, they share it at a gathering with friends and family. And then the storm arrives, not from enemies, but from the very people who love them. First come the winds of harsh practicality. That's a nice idea, But the market isn't ready. The profit margin is too low. Forget it and do something more realistic. These words, even with good intentions, plant a seed of doubt in your mind. They make you question if your vision is just a fantasy. Next comes the acid rain of comparison. A few big companies are already doing something like this. How are you going to compete with them? They have huge amounts of money. This plants fear and a feeling of being small. It makes you focus on the obstacles instead of the opportunities. Finally, and perhaps most dangerously, comes the frost of well-meaning advice. Everyone is excited to give their opinion, each wanting to add a new feature or a new marketing strategy. From a simple and elegant core idea, the plan becomes a complex and messy monster. Your original clarity gets lost in a thick fog of confusion. The dream, instead of being nurtured, is being trampled on. This is exactly why the builder friend from our story succeeded. His silence was his greenhouse. The solution is to become a wise gardener for your own dream. First, build in silence. Turn your invisible idea into something visible. Second, choose your gardeners carefully. A greenhouse doesn't mean complete isolation. You can invite 1 or 2 people inside. But they should be mentors or true experts who believe in you and can give constructive feedback. They are the people who will ask you the hard questions, not give you easy compliments. Share with them when you have something to show them, not just something to tell them about. Only when your seed has grown into a strong tree with deep roots should you break down the greenhouse and let the world see it. Lesson 3. Give yourself permission to fail in private. Why are we so afraid of being a beginner? Why does the fear of looking foolish stop so many talented people from trying new things? A big part of the answer is that we are afraid of being judged by others. I remember a time in my own career when I wanted to learn public speaking. The thought of standing in front of a crowd terrified me. Imagine if, at that time, I had announced to everyone, "I am going to become a master speaker." What would have happened? All eyes would have been on me. Every time I stumbled over my words, every time I forgot my lines, it would have been a public failure. That pressure could have killed my desire to even try. Creativity and learning need space to be messy. They need a secret laboratory where you can experiment, mix things up, create small explosions, and learn from them with nobody watching. When you make your learning process public, you turn your laboratory into a stage. And on a stage, people expect a perfect performance. The pressure to be perfect is the enemy of progress. The solution is to create your own secret art studio, no matter what your field is. Instead of announcing I would become a great speaker, I joined a small local club. That room became my secret studio. There, I gave some terrible speeches. I forgot my words, I was shaking, and I said things that made no sense. But it was okay. Because there, failure was accepted as part of the process. Each failure was just a stepping stone, not a judgment. This privacy builds 2 of the most valuable things for growth: resilience and authenticity. You recover faster from mistakes because no one is there to remind you of them. You are more true to yourself because you are not trying to impress anyone. Give yourself the gift of failing in private. It is the only way to create a success that is worth making public. Lesson 4. Build the power of surprise. Think about the most impressive product launches, like those from Apple under Steve Jobs. They worked in absolute secrecy. And then, at an event, he would walk on stage and say, "One more thing," and reveal a product that changed the world. The power of that moment came from the shock of the surprise. But this principle doesn't only apply to giant tech companies. I saw it happen beautifully in a neighborhood where I used to live. There was a small coffee shop owned by a man named Mr. Chen. His shop was old and seemed forgotten by time. Imagine if Mr. Chen had put up a big sign, "We will be upgrading soon." What would have happened? People would be curious for a few days, and then they would forget. The announcement would have weakened the power of the change. But Mr. Chen chose a different strategy, the strategy of the builder friend. One morning, people in the neighborhood woke up to find his coffee shop closed with a small sign, "Taking a short break to prepare something new. See you soon." No other explanation. For 2 weeks, the doors were closed. The mystery grew. And then, on a Monday morning, the coffee shop reopened. But it was not the same old shop. It was completely transformed. A new name, a modern logo, warm wooden furniture, and the smell of amazing coffee and fresh pastries filled the street. It wasn't just an upgrade. It was a rebirth. The entire neighborhood was shocked, in a good way. The news spread like fire. People came not just out of curiosity, but because they were amazed by the incredible transformation. The impact of this surprise was more powerful than any advertising campaign. Your results are your loudest announcement. Stop talking about the rain you're going to make. Silently gather the clouds, and then let your storm impress the world. Lesson 5. The wisdom between saying and doing. At this point, you might think the advice is to only do, never say. But that is a dangerous simplification. I am speaking to you right now. Words have incredible power to inspire, to connect, and to gather resources. The problem is not the act of saying itself, but the wisdom behind it. The broadcaster friend failed not because he spoke, but because he spoke unwisely. The builder friend succeeded not because he was completely silent, he shared with his wife, but because he spoke strategically. So, how do we use words as a tool to support action, instead of a replacement for it? Instead of a strict rule, I want to share with you the wise person's golden principles. Principle 1. The purpose test before you speak. Before you share your plan, quietly ask yourself, why am I saying this? Wrong purpose. Red light. If the answer is to get praise, to sound smart or ambitious, or to feel less insecure, then stop. This is when words are serving your ego, not your project. Right purpose. Green light. If the answer is to get specific advice from an expert, to find a partner with skill X, to get financial support from investor Y, or to make a commitment to a mentor I respect, then proceed. This is when words become a strategic tool. Principle 2. The circle of trust rule. Never broadcast your plans to the world. Instead, build a small circle of trust. This circle might include just one mentor, a business partner, or your spouse. These are people who have proven their unconditional support, who can give honest but constructive feedback, and most importantly, who celebrate your success as if it were their own. You can talk to them because they are inside the greenhouse with you. Principle 3. The need to know principle. Even with your circle of trust, don't share the entire blueprint. Share on a need-to-know basis. If you need advice on marketing, only talk about the marketing aspect. If you need technical support, focus on the technical problem. This keeps the conversation focused, effective, and avoids unnecessary advice. Principle 4. Recognize the stop signal. How do you know when to stop talking to someone? Observe their reaction when they start giving general, empty advice. Just believe in yourself. When their eyes start to wander or they check their phone. when they quickly change the subject to their own story. These are signals that they have reached the limit of their ability to contribute. Thank them politely and stop sharing more. Your mission is not to turn everyone into a fan. Your mission is to build your dream. By applying these principles, you will turn words from a motivation thief into a powerful ally. You will no longer be the speaker or the doer, but a wise person, one who knows when to be silent to build and when to speak to conquer. Conclusion. Now, I want you to just imagine. What would happen if you truly applied this principle to your own life? Imagine starting a new project, a business, a creative effort, a personal goal, and you tell no one about it. Imagine working quietly, steadily, without seeking validation or approval. What could you achieve in that space of silence? How much further could you go without the weight of outside expectations? This is the essence of what we have talked about today. The freedom to work on your own terms, the power to let your actions speak louder than your words, and the wisdom to protect your dream until it is ready to be shared. The idea of keeping your plans private is not about being secretive or hiding. It's about being intentional. It's about understanding the value of your energy and focus. It's about protecting the fragile beginnings of your dream, nurturing it in silence until it is strong enough to stand on its own. When you choose silence and purposeful action, you are making a statement, not to the world, but to the person inside of you. You are saying, "I trust my ability to see this through. I don't need applause to get started, and I don't need permission to pursue my goals." That kind of confidence is rare, and it is incredibly powerful. It gives you the freedom to act without fear, to learn from your mistakes without judgment, and to grow at your own pace. And here is the most beautiful part. When you succeed, you will inspire others, not by what you said you were going to do, but by what you have actually done. Your actions will become a beacon of light, a reminder to others that real progress comes from focus, discipline, and quiet determination. So, as you leave this video, I want to challenge you to embrace the philosophy of the wise person. The next time you set a goal, resist the urge to announce it to the world. Instead, write it down, make a plan, and get to work. Let your actions do the talking, and let your results be the proof. Remember, success doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need a spotlight or a stage. It grows quietly, steadily, in the silent moments when no one is watching. Protect your dream, nurture your focus, and let your actions speak for themselves. That is the path to true success, and it is a path worth walking. If this message connected with you, please share it with a friend who you believe needs to hear it. And let us know in the comments, what is the first silent brick you will start building for your dream, starting today? Remember, here at English Richness, we don't just tell stories for you to practice English. We share ideas that can unlock wealth and prosperity in your life. Subscribe to our channel so we can continue on this journey together. Better English, better life.